Greetings and welcome to the 1/6 Scale Man. Probably presents You Know What It Is, comic book talk with friends. Monday nights, we are always here to bring you the best. We weren't here last week, took a week off, but we are back this week, and we're going to definitely have some conversation. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to jump into. So glad to have some of you guys here with us. We're going to probably have more coming in, but as you are coming in, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to definitely have some interesting conversations tonight, but I can't do it without the incredible panel that we actually have with us here this evening. So let me just bring everybody in here with me right now. What's going on with y'all, brothers? How y'all doing?
What up?
Yeah, man. So glad to have you here, brother. As always, let me just we'll address the chat in a minute. Let me know how y'all feel about the new look. If y'all seen the new look out there, like I said, we just wanted to kind of do something different, bringing the new year in a different way. So thank you guys for coming in with us. Butt naked, what's going on, man? How you doing, man? You still butt naked?
always. No, it's been a good well, it's been a couple weeks actually, because we weren't on last week, but yeah, it's been a good couple of weeks. Staying busy, doing some family time, doing some work. We got a ton of new comic book related stuff, art and books and whatnot that I've gotten the last couple of weeks. So I'll share that with everybody a little bit later in the stream tonight. But there is one piece that I'm very happy about getting recently, which is this bad boy.
Nice.
Is the PCS 1/6 scale advanced suit Spider-Man. So this is a pretty nice piece.
You got a couple from that company now, right?
Yeah, the Miles right here, that's a third scale, is PCS too. So
okay.
Yeah, they do some really good stuff. So I was happy to get this one the other day. And then I'll share some of the books and art and stuff a little later on tonight. But yeah, it's been a fun couple of weeks, picking up a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, man, appreciate that. As always, thank you for being here with us tonight. Jedi Pimp, what's going on with you, man? Sir. How you doing, man? You good?
Look, man, yeah, had a good weekend. Had some family time for my birthday.
How was your birthday, brother?
Bro, I had a good time, bro. I did Universal. I did Star Wars. Oh my God,
Galaxy's Edge.
Right now, Galaxy's Edge, dude. I felt like a 4-year-old kid.
Oh yeah,
I didn't want to live. Dude, it was awesome.
I still gotta make it, bro. I'm so jealous of y'all motherfuckers.
Dude, you gotta go, bro. You gotta go, bro.
Bro, the experience is unlike any, bro.
It's
like just
awesome.
It's such an it's an awesome feeling, bro. But it's just like it's so nostalgic. Even when you're walking around and just listening to the music, bro.
Yeah.
Like when you go in,
how much time are you allowed in the Falcon? Because I feel like they have to kick me out.
They probably you gotta get it's a ride. It's an actual ride. Like they let you peruse
it's a ride,
but it's an actual
ride.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's an actual ride. So you get when you go and you sit in the
dude.
cockpit is just like the cockpit, bro. It's like
it's dope.
The cockpit is so dope,
but
dope. It's broken up in segments. So you have somebody who's flying, you have a navigator, you have somebody who's the pilot, who's shooting and everything for you. So like, it's incredible.
Everybody's doing something, bro. It was fun, dog. It was fun.
It's definitely a phenomenal thing.
I got to see the freaking biggest McDonald's in the world. The kids love that shit. Like that was awesome.
Oh, you went to? I saw pictures of it, bro.
Yeah. It was dope. We got a freaking Dave, it's like their own version of Dave and Buster's, like upstairs. When
Which is cool because you know what? McDonald's is supposed to be fun. I'm tired of all the McDonald's like offices now.
Yeah.
They used to be a fun place.
Yeah.
Now they
when we grew up, right? Right. It was
It's supposed
fun.
to
So
have
I had
that
a good
fun
weekend.
element to it,
Yeah.
man. It's not
Dude,
supposed to be like,
rides, Dave and Buster's vibe upstairs. They got a pizzeria, a cake place. You can get pasta, and you can get everything, and a burger and fries. Dude, it was dope. It was dope. I recommend it. You go to Orlando. It was dope.
Yeah, definitely, man.
That was my weekend, man. I had a good time with the family, bro.
You already know, bro. Like it's you know,
sir.
Just in general, like
Mm-hmm.
and that this was in Orlando, right?
Yeah. It's like 2.5 hours from my house.
Okay. Yeah, so definitely, man. I mean, so
Mm-hmm.
much fun. Like Vinny, you gotta make it, bro. Vinny,
Yeah, bro.
Have you been on a plane yet, bro?
No, that's the thing. Otherwise, I'd have been there already.
Bruh.
I mean, that's the only thing holding me up. That's because I don't like driving for too long distances. So,
Wait, you've never been on a plane before?
Nope, he's not been on a plane.
I know it's like gonna be like
2 hours
for me. I know it's like roller coasters.
2 hours,
it's gonna be like when I finally do it, then my ass gonna be flying around everywhere. But
man, get your wife to give you some Benadryl.
I know, right?
Get your Benadryl. Go to sleep on the plane.
They're gonna have to BA Baracus me, man.
That's it.
That's
BA Baracus.
That's it.
Benadryl. 2.5 hours, you'll be here.
That's it. That's it. Knock yourself out. And this is somebody who's like I said, I'm going to London in April.
Mm-hmm.
London is dope.
Imagine 22.5 hours on a plane to Sydney, Australia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, with Florida, it's gonna be like 90 minutes, 2 hours. Boom.
That's it.
Definitely the first. Yeah.
Yeah,
the first
2 hours.
Gotta be somewhere.
You won't even be able to watch a movie.
Yeah,
like you'll be there.
Nope.
Definitely the first time gotta be somewhere under 3 hours, so that way if I'm not feeling it, it's not too long a trip.
Yeah, bro. It's like because you're in Philly, right?
Right
outside Philly,
just an hour and a half away.
Yeah,
Harrisburg. So you're an hour away. So, bro, like 3 hours the most.
Yeah,
you'll be asleep, dog. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I got finally do it.
You got it. You have to.
Yeah, man. Come on now, get some of that sun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir,
bro. But anyway, man, thank you for being here. Vinny, how was your weekend, bro? Besides everything else?
Good, man. Just chilling, catching up on a lot of reading, a lot of different commissions. I have a few different commissions I've got recently that I've been working on. And probably next week I'll talk to you about throwing them up there. But I've been working on a new series for Lord of the Rings. In the beginning of the month, I reread all the Lord of the Rings again, so that way I could do them like my Harry Potter collection. And I've just been drawing different characters from Lord of the Rings on actual correlating book pages for like
I love how you did that
character.
Bro.
Appreciate it, man. So so I got 2 more of those to go, and then I'll have that wrapped up. I wanted to do 9 of them, so they're almost done, and then I'm just focusing on other commissions and other art projects that I've had on the back burner until I have more time in the winter. And then just other than that, just catching up on shows. I finished finished up a few different shows, been catching up on movies, and just enjoying a little bit of R&R before season winds up back again. So I got to catch up on a lot more comic book reading now. I'm like way behind, so I got a lot more organizing and stuff like that to do too. But it's so easy to get super far behind. So that's what's mainly on the slate for this week is just start get organizing and start catching up and pick a title and just run the gamut. But other than that, chilling, man.
Yeah, bro. Well, definitely, man. Thank you for being here as always.
Pleasure.
Every week when we do this, and thank you guys out there for being a part of the channel. And, sticking through with us time and time again. So let me address the chat really quick. We got Odin01 in the building. Thank you for being here. We got Ash Chase, Renz Talentino, the great Renz Talentino. 2 Tears in the Bucket is here with us. Malika Mabane. As always, we got Amber May. Amber, thank you for being here as always. Who else we got? We got a few people actually scooting through here. And thank you for being here, and just coming on through. So, packed show sort of tonight, but I did want to in Oath Skywalker. Let's go. Thank you for being here, bro. I appreciate that. So again, 2 Ferns coming through. Thank you for being here as always, bro. Listen. So again, we want to continue on because we do celebrate the artist each and every week. We want to celebrate the artists who have made things that were extremely possible for us. We want to continue to do that. you know, and make sure that we are paying homage to those who came before and have always been a part of our journey, our collecting journey. And I think, and I was like, when I thought about it, I was like, damn, I feel so remiss. Like, I just like, I felt like, damn, it's the one person who I didn't bring up yet should have been one of the first individuals that we actually brought up. You know what I mean? And we didn't really talk about it. And of course, like I said, that is none other than Mr. Steve Ditko himself. This man, like literally, I mean, so iconic. His pages in Spider-Man alone, his pages in Doctor Strange, a lot of stuff that he did with the Defenders. Like literally, he is an icon when it comes to the industry. You know, some of the things, the classics that you've gotten, like it, like a lot of people don't realize that when you see this particular print right here, like when you look at that and you see that
black
cover,
and red,
a lot of people actually have this cover as a print, or they've got it as a poster. This is the guy who made it all possible. You know what I mean? So, I mean, Ditko was just that guy. You know, definitely that guy in the industry who, again, you have pages, but you probably aren't really familiar with it. But even if you are, and I'm not even going to say he was like controversial, because he was right in between. You know what I mean? He was just that guy in between. But again, that made some of these things popular. You know what I mean? When Stan wanted to actually go to an artist to bring some of his stories to life, Ditko was that guy. You know what I mean? Was always that guy. So again, you know, have to pay homage for him. Benny, I'm gonna start with you first, man. Again, we think about collecting throughout the years. You know, just the legacy of Steve Ditko and what he basically brought. You know, I almost told him Steve Biko, bro. I was like Ditko, bro. Like, but you know, definitely, man, like just an iconic artist. You know, how did he I'm pretty sure his work it inspires everyone. But how did it inspire you, bro?
Well, I mean, since I was a kid, it's the cliche answer, but you know, my favorite as a kid was always, you know, Spider-Man and Batman. Like Spider-Man comic was my first comic, and I've loved virtually every different, like, you know, most versions of Spider-Man, and it all started with, you know, with Ditko. Ditko is in that list of guys who I like to, hey, don't forget when people rave about Stan Lee. And it's no knock on Stan, because Stan is the man, but Stan is universally known, a household name. Everybody knows Stan. But the problem is that everybody, you know, doesn't know that Stan didn't do it all. You know what I mean? Stan was the writer, and many of the characters that Stan created, he had someone else right next to him helping him create. It's just that Stan was the figurehead of Marvel, and it just,
he was the voice,
kind of got all the accolades. So for majority of the characters that Stan created, he had someone else helping him create. So with Spider-Man, the co-creator for that was, you know, Steve Ditko. And co-creator for Doctor Strange, Steve Ditko. Like I was gonna talk to you about after the show. Like the next one we gotta do is like Kirby for the same reason. Like he is you know, there in that echelon of, you know, the Bill Fingers. Like everyone thinks of Bob Kane when they think of Batman, but they don't think of Bill Finger, you know, who was the artist who put the vision to paper. Because it's you say, oh, I got an idea for a guy, you know, he's a spider and he has spider powers proportionate to the spider. Steve was like, all right, well, here's what I think it would look like. That takes two, you know, that takes two brilliant minds to come together to come up with that concept. And when people think of Spider-Man, they think of Stan and don't necessarily think of Steve, at least the average person on the street.
Steve Ditko.
So Steve Ditko deserves all kinds of tons of accolades for that, because he not just co-created them, but he was obviously the artist for many years and put a stamp on, you know, the look, the feel, the tone, and great sequential art. He wasn't as like flashy and kick you in the chest as say a Kirby or you know, some of the other artists in that area, but he was a very, very great sequential artist. Like his art told amazing stories panel wise. Like he was a great visual storyteller. Like he could have tons of pages where if Stan wasn't writing words, you would still be able to follow exactly the emotion of what was going on just from the storytelling art of, you know, panel sequential art. He was one of the, you know, he was one of the first to, you know, to do it. He's an icon, pioneer. You know, all those words, they all fit in that category with Steve. He did so much. He did the same thing with Doctor Strange too. I mean, and Strange had like such a unique style later on, but in the beginning it was, you know, much more simpler and straightforward. I mean, we've seen Steve Ditko in the end of Homecoming, one of his most famous stories here, the final chapter with Spidey having the weight of a building on him and thinking that it was done, it was wrapped, he was over, and having to get up dig deep enough to lift more weight than he's ever lifted before. And
which
those
was
words by
homage
Stan
was paid for homage was paid in Homecoming.
Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So Spider-Man Homecoming did this when after the Vulture fight in that film.
The Vulture, yeah.
And you know, Stan's words were amazing here, but you just look at the composition and the way that Steve had to basically emote with Spider-Man without, you know, with no facial features, and just had to do it with just his demeanor, his body language, and his settings and panel sequence. You know, the guy was amazing. You know, he's one of the legends for sure. And so, like, as you see in this comic, which was one of the most famous ones, I'm getting that weight off of him. You know, I did it. I'm free. Like that was one of the, at the time, like, you know, that was one of the biggest moments for Spider-Man at that time, and that still holds up as one of the most iconic Spider-Man moments, you know, 60 years later.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, people, and I had this, you know, even thinking back to like earlier days, what a lot of people didn't realize, even, you know, with Ditko at that time, you know, when the original concept for Spider-Man was introduced, it wasn't the red and blue suit. It was black at that point. So he was the first to do the black suit. Like, he was the first to introduce Spider-Man in the all black suit. It still had the webbing, but it was black. Later on, it was introduced in Secret Wars, and everybody's like, oh, for the first time. No, that wasn't the first time. Right. That was not the first time Ditko was. It was just a simple fact that back then they wanted to go more, they had to have a tone. It was more colory. Yeah, colory, vibrant, what we got back then on the pages, and to have that particular suit didn't make sense for what they were going for back then. Right. So then it was changed. Exactly. So then it was changed to the red and the blue. So, I mean, again, Ditko is iconic on so many different levels because he's the first to do a lot, just doesn't get the credit for it. So
absolutely.
Definitely he doesn't get, but I mean, as you go along, like, I mean, he's the greatest, like one of the greatest of all time. It's just, you know, you wouldn't have some of these, you know, really quintessential characters without him. You know what I mean? So definitely I'm hype about that. Jedi Kid, what's your take on how Ditko? I mean, because I did see some of your work as well. I'm pretty sure that throughout the years, you know, with a lot of stuff that you even done. Like, I think that every artist, you know, even when I started drawing Spider-Man back in the day, bro, like, again, you take from that inspiration. You know what I mean? Because that was just like earlier on. So, like, how did you feel about it, bro?
To me, Ditko, man, and to think about it, you know, in like a rational sense, you got Stan Lee, Ditko, and Kirby. All three of these guys were in the same room discussing characters and colors, and it's just unbelievable to think that, you know, those three guys planted the seeds for what Marvel is today, right? And then, I mean, one of my favorite works from Ditko was, you had it up a little while ago with the I forget what number comic that is. I know it's Silver Age, when Spider-Man has that. They made it blue and red, but it was really black and red. When he's holding the crook jumping in the air, dude. That
Amazing Fantasy
was the one that made me like just love Spider-Man. Like, he's one of my top three. You know, it's always going to be Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man, and then Wolverine. But like the way he drew Spider-Man, and even Doctor Strange, bro, like Doctor Strange, the way he drew it was like, yo, I want to know more about this cat.
Right.
Yeah. He just made the character so interesting that they pulled you in. Between him, Kirby, and Stan Lee, like you got 3 comic geniuses of the Silver Age era of comics that if they didn't work together or try to like at least have common ideas, Marvel wouldn't be where it is right now, man.
Nah, wouldn't, bro.
And with the colors and that whole era of colors and the high collars like on Doctor Strange, everybody, all the bright, that whole era of the Silver Age, and I think Ditko was one of the leaders of it, man. I mean, him and Kirby were like neck to neck to me in that age.
Psychedelics, man. I think they were all on acid.
Dude. Yeah. Especially the way Kirby put them colors in there. Them boys was high some nights.
Yep.
They were high some nights. Definitely high some nights. But,
bro, like when you look at Eternity, like when you look at basically the concept for Eternity and the original concept for Eternity.
Who thinks about that?
Yeah,
who's
like
gonna think about that? Bro, like normal, rational mind.
Yeah.
You can't be normal.
Tripping balls.
No doubt.
You have to be high.
They was
on mushrooms or something.
You have to be high. Some mad herbs, some weed. That weed,
bro. Like, how do you give Eternity a body? Yeah. And then inside its body, you got solar systems and planets. Like
you got planets, galaxies.
Who's thinking about that,
bro? Exactly. Like that's the thing. Like it's
yeah, bro.
You know,
that era, man, Silver Age,
definitely, bro. Bucky naked, bro. Like your take on Ditko, bro.
2 things spring to mind immediately for me with Ditko. One is the shot you already had up, and the one that they paid tribute to in Homecoming for Spider-Man. And then the others are this, and basically all of the other stuff that we see in Doctor Strange. And I mean, if you enjoyed. Not so much Multiverse of Madness, because that was very much a different beast, unto itself. But the first Doctor Strange, that's just Steve Ditko's art on the screen. It was amazing to see that, because I was like, I remember when that movie first got announced, I was like, how are they going to do a Doctor Strange and make it not look just distractingly odd on screen, because it's a trip. Like on the page, it's like, but like you can be like, okay, all right, I can see it on page, but how are you going to see it in real life? And they did it, and it looked, and to me, it's like, okay, I think that's like what Ditko was actually seeing in his brain when he was tripping balls. It definitely was. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's, like you have, the Trinity in DC, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. You got, the I guess the Avengers Trinity would be like Cap, Iron Man, Thor, but you could have like Spidey or somebody else. But
Spider-Man.
Like, for comic creators, I think Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and Steve Ditko. That's a a power trio right there. That's a trinity. And I mean that to the point where artists today, like who like Alex Ross is an artist that we all love, but is also very much a comic book and an art historian, and he traces all of his work back to guys like Ditko, and we wouldn't have guys like Alex Ross and Joe Quesada and all these other guys if it weren't for people like Steve Ditko coming first. So even if some people don't really love like the old school art, they prefer more modern stuff, and like I totally get that, like from a visual perspective, what people gravitate toward. The modern stuff that we have now wouldn't even exist if it weren't for that original stuff inspiring the guys right now to keep pushing and to keep evolving. So it's recognizing greatness of vision I think that's the big thing too. It's just the vision that these guys had, that what they put on the page lasted so many decades to the point where we have what we have today.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the thing is, it's like, again, there were talks about doing, and there are still in talks about doing a biopic on Stanley and Kirby, because that's mainly been the story of, again, they wanted to do more so a biopic on those two, the historical chapters of these characters. I know there's also a documentary on Stan that's coming up again. I think Disney Plus is going to be releasing another one.
Yeah, for his 100th birthday.
Yeah, for his 100th. Yeah, but there's a biopic that's dropping, or that they're working on right now, which is going to be interesting, because it's going to be like, both individuals and how things happen, like the rise and separation of both of them. It's interesting, but the thing is, it's like you can't possibly do that without mentioning Ditko. You cannot do it without having Ditko at least in there, a few scenes, because there was even like some talks at one point where, on so many occasions, Ditko had to be like the mediator between, Stan Lee and Kirby,
Well, Stan Lee hated what Kirby was drawing first on Spider-Man, and went to Ditko.
And went to Ditko,
and then they kind of went back and forth, but we wouldn't have that, what we have for Spider-Man now, if Ditko wasn't involved in that.
Yeah. It was definitely, I can't wait to see something like that, man.
But you know what I don't like about the whole situation with Ditko? Like, the man died, 2018? He's like 90. Like, it was like he died, and like, I don't know. I didn't see a lot about him.
There wasn't.
No. He got no love, bro. Like,
nah, you heard a lot about it at cons, and you heard a lot about it on. It was only on surface.
Even the news,
the community,
right?
Nah.
I remember them putting that out about him in 2018, dog. It was like 2018 that he died, right? He was 90 years old or something like that.
Yeah, bro.
But like, you heard no, like when Stan died, all respect to Stan, love Stan Lee. Even when Kirby died, like they got like mad press, and it was all over the place. But you gotta understand, like, if Ditko wasn't a part of that trifecta, like there would be no modern Marvel right now.
Yeah,
there wouldn't be.
Yeah.
So they gotta do a biopic about him somehow, somewhere. They gotta do something about him. It's to show him respect, because it's like you can't do that to him, man. And I barely heard nothing about it.
I think one of the reasons why that happened, and I still think he should absolutely be given his due, but I think one of the reasons why that happened is because Stan Lee became a character unto himself, right?
True.
The glasses, the mustache, the voice, cameos,
the green sweater
in all of the Marvel movies. So all these people who had very little comic book history knowledge were being exposed to Stan Lee and think, oh, this is the guy that created all the characters for all these movies that I love now. So Stan Lee.
That's why people like us were always but also
right,
but also Steve, also Jack, also Joe Simon.
And people are seeing Stan Lee in these movies and hearing that, oh wait, they're using CG and voice like generated stuff to continue having his cameos in Marvel properties and stuff. So because he became that like character, also because of some stuff was going on with his family, and they were basically having him go to like every convention under the sun and sign a million things at every convention and stuff. He became that kind of figure for all of comic. Because when you think about it, people that are casual fans or that just watch like the movies and stuff, they know Stan Lee, or they could pick him out of a lineup. They could pick his face out, right? Ask the same people to pick out Bob Kane or Jim Lee. Even right, people that we know, but like, and they would have no clue, right?
Because they weren't at all.
In addition to having the credit for all these things, Stan was just ridiculously charismatic.
He gave us Tony Stank.
It just even before the movie
Excelsior. He gave us like stuff like that. Like
even before the movies, he was super like well known just from the letterboxes and the back pages. He was always super out there, integrating with fans at cons. He was like a bigger than life character even before he was in any films. And not to say that any of these other people had that opportunity. I don't know if these other creators were as interested in being a celebrity as Stan was. Like, and Stan would be the first one to tell you, like, he was very egomaniacal. Like, he wanted you to know how great he was, and I don't think Steve Ditko really gave a shit if people were singing his praises. Jack didn't really seem to care too much. He wanted his credit, but he didn't feel like he needed to be a superstar. Stan wanted to be a superstar, and
he was doing TV cameos on shows.
He was putting himself out there all the time. And again, it's not like everyone else had the same opportunities, but even Bob, like you said, even Bob Kane or Jim Lee don't make the lengths, the leaps and bounds to make sure that you know who they are, like Stan did. Stan wanted to make sure everybody knew who he was, and that was one of the things that like is why he was so intertwined with the films and stuff, is because it was a no-brainer to put someone who was that charismatic in the movies, because he was already a bigger than life persona. So right. I think part of it is just a different goal that some of these artists and creators didn't have that Stan had. So I don't really ever expect even other your Bob Kane's or Jim Lee's or to be sought at the level as Stan. But it sucks that like there's just nowhere near that kind of recognition that Stan has on a level of, I mean, like Bill Finger was, and on many cases, it's not just of just a normal person on the street know who they are. In many cases, there was legal things like, were they even compensated, or were they given the credit for some of these books? Like, it took some of these people, it took lawsuits for them to even get their shit in print that they were as responsible. Like, to this day, is Batman created by Bob Kane, and Bill Finger is like 5 years old. Like, the Finger family just recently won to try to get his legacy credited. So
right, but
it's
people
a
have gone decades thinking of Bob Kane, so that's what they think of, and they don't even. They don't even.
Long-standing thing with comic books and credit.
Stan made himself an icon. You know what I'm saying? Well, he let everybody know who he was.
He also nobody else has as many massive characters that they had a hand in creating. That's the thing.
Right.
He's got so many.
He gets credited for shit he didn't even create.
Nah, like, they just slap his name on it like a Nike box.
I've seen cons hand him books that he didn't have shit to do with. It's just like they figure it's a comic book, it must be Stan's. You know what I mean? That's
meanwhile,
that's crazy.
You have modern creators or something like that. I mean, like as big as Miles Morales is and will continue to grow, people are your average person who's going to watch a Spider-Man movie or see Miles
doesn't know
that Brian Michael Bendis created that character, and he created a character because his daughter asked him why.
Right.
They're not gonna know that. They're not gonna go that. I mean, not that she's on the same level character wise as like popularity, but most people aren't gonna know Echo when we see her that she was created by David Mack, right? Like there are a lot of characters that people either just aren't going to know that so and so created, or they're going to assume that Stan Lee, he created all the Marvel characters. He created Miles. No. So that's just it's just kind of that, and that's not Stan's fault. I mean, the man worked his ass off and built a name for himself. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that's why it goes more incumbent upon everybody now to really give credit where credit is due to other artists and creators who are giving us these new characters in the last 20, 30, 40 years and beyond, that they had the hand in creating, and not like Steve Ditko, Jack Kirby, or Stan Lee.
It speaks to the power of how good he was at branding.
Stan Lee was a master at branding. And then his assertiveness, bro, he would put himself in situations like force himself in situations, and that's how his face started being everywhere. He let everybody know who he was.
People have to also, because it's, bro, like, people have to understand, like, when there was a push for ethnicity and when there was a push for, you know, even like during the civil rights movement, when they started basically introducing a lot of these characters. But you got to keep in mind that it wasn't just a lot of that push came from Kirby as well, bro. Like hugely from Kirby.
Oh, true.
Because of his background. Like Kirby pushed a lot for that, but yet Stan gets full credit for it. But Kirby was actually
both of them.
You know, like literally, like Kirby was out on the scenes, bro. Even doing some riots. Kirby was taking inspiration from that, but it's just a simple fact that he's not going to get them. Just like, for instance, people in his family, which rightfully so, like there were some gripes because people were like, wait a minute, so you're going to basically create an Eternals film, but you're giving majority of that credit to Stan Lee, and you're not going to talk about Kirby, like, you know, the Kirby legacy and how it came about. Like, yes, they talk about it briefly, but it's always credit given to Stan. And here's the thing, it's not a knock against Stan because he deserves a lot for his decision making and, you know, what he decided to do, which I still think he did it out of spare of the moment. I can understand, but like now the repercussions are trying to get everything under one umbrella. But it's, you know, and selling it off just to kind of make that, you know, again, money had to be made. We know that, and rightfully so. He made the best decision, but the hardest decision at the same time. But it's the simple fact that now when we think about some of these IPs that Kirby had his hands on, I think that rightfully so, he should get credit. Like he needs to get more credit than what's given. So I'm hoping now, even with this documentary, once they drop it, that they do give him credit. Real quick. We got Binary Sunset Media with the $5 super chat. Jack Kirby won't go into stores and toy stores because he would see his art. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Is it still an issue now with their families getting paid? I know Fingers just got paid from Batman, but
see, Finger wasn't credited. That was what the problem.
Oh wow, he just got paid and then he get credit
because it's a difference. Because it's like Finger wasn't credited at all, so there was a lot of money he was kind of written out of history, whereas Kirby was always credited. It's just more like when the general consensus, when people think about these Marvel characters, they just take a stand. But it's not like his name was left off of the books back in the day. That's what was happening to Finger.
It's just everybody focuses on Stan Lee.
I mean, because back like many of the Batman prints or pages or comics, you would see Batman and it would say created by Bob Kane. And it wouldn't say created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. But if like you look at a Spider-Man comic, it'll say created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. It's just that the average person won't know that because they weren't out there. So there's like a whole bunch of like morality issues with that, but not legal issues with that. With Finger, it was more of a legal issue.
Yeah. See, I don't know.
Man, that's crazy, man.
It is. It's nuts though. But anyway, again, hopefully, rightfully so, we see someone like, you know, again, you know, not only just Kirby, but Ditko, you know, getting more credit and recognition for, you know, their hands, you know,
work,
like just their work in general. Like there needs to be callbacks to that iconic moments that were captured, even in the cinematically captured, came from these guys. You know what I mean? Page by page in certain aspects. So again, but here you are, great Ditko, Steve Ditko, the man, the legend, the myth. Next week, you know, then Vinny let me know we will do Kirby. Next week we'll actually drop that. And
at least Steve didn't have to see Eternity turn into a Make-A-Wish genie.
I know. Yeah,
pretty much, bro. Oh my god, I can imagine what he would
definitely didn't have to see that bullshit.
He'd probably flip out though.
I know if that is it. Anyway, we're going to actually go ahead and we're going to get into the next. We're going to actually bring up an issue again. We're talking about Iron Man Extremis. You know, Extremis, that is.
Extremis.
Definitely a run, Vinny. I mean, not Vinny. Butt Naked. You basically brought up, Brendan. You brought up, you know, that could be covered. How it mirrors certain things. It was interesting how you. And I'm gonna let you actually. I'm gonna bring this up real quick. And I'm gonna let you go ahead and go in on it because, like I said, it's interesting. You know, where you said it kind of mirrors. I thought about it. I was like, yo, that's interesting. Like it makes perfectly good sense. You know, to really talk about it. But definitely a dope run. But take it away, bro.
Yeah. So Extremis. I'd been I've been an Iron Man fan for a long time before this. This was, I think, 04. I think this was
04.
published. And so I had been a long time Iron Man fan, but as happens, with comics, and depending on if there's like a run that you're like not feeling that much, you might drop out of that, you might pick something else up, and then you kind of find your way back to a character later on. And I had been off of Iron Man books for a little while, but this one jumped out at me because I really liked the premise, and the premise here at Extremis, if you guys watched Iron Man 3, which is, it loosely takes the idea of Extremis in that from this. Now, in this, there's no Mandarin or fake Mandarin. There's no actor playing. Mandarin is just not a part of it at all. But this laid the groundwork for the idea that they took from Extremis and went beyond that into Infinity War with nanotech, and this was also kind of like a modern retelling of Iron Man's origins. So this was actually where they said he was actually injured in the Middle East, rather than in the original comics. They had done Vietnam. They'd kind of, done it a couple of times with Iron Man over the years. But this one was very similar to the origins that you see in Iron Man, the movie in 08. And it's just funny because a lot of that is a lot of Iron Man 1 and 3 are pulled from ideas from this run, Extremis. Adi Granov did the art, and the art I just absolutely loved. I loved the fact that this wasn't like the as much as I like the classic Iron Man stuff, this wasn't like just super like bright like yellow and fire engine red. This was like metallic looking, right? It was actually an Iron Man suit. And Adi Granov wanted it to look very realistic, like almost he thought of the suit as like a fighter jet, and Tony Stark is the pilot of this jet, and so he wanted it to look like that. And again, this was painted with a very like a beautiful metallic look to the armor, which I just absolutely loved. And throughout this, the idea was he wanted like hyper realism throughout all of the art. So everything that you see, some parts of it literally look like photographs. Like the realism is that good, and I fell in love with the art in this, just flipping through it, and that's what pulled me in. And then the story kept me there, and this is one of my favorite Iron Man runs. It's a 6-issue run. The issue that I brought up with Lael, though, was that Warren Ellis has been mired in some heavy controversy for the last several years. A lot of stuff came out about kind of abuse of power and inappropriate sexual relationships that he used that power to cultivate over years. And there were a lot of reports from both men and women about how he was to work with and stuff like that. And so he's kind of in the doghouse when it comes to the comic book industry right now. And so that kind of got me thinking too. There are kind of, current parallels right now with, let's say, the Harry Potter franchise and J.K. Rowling, and people not liking a lot of the stuff that she's been saying in the last couple of years, and people kind of struggling with, there's a Hogwarts Legacy, a new game that's coming out that a lot of people are really excited about, and it actually looks like it's going to be a very good game. But a lot of people are calling for its boycott because they don't want to contribute to J.K. Rowling getting even richer off of this. They're like, enjoy the Harry Potter that you've already bought and you've already read and continue to read and stuff, but don't give her any more money. To which there are arguments against that. For example, all of the people that worked on that game, and all of the other people who worked on those movies and all the other people who worked on all the other things related to the Harry Potter IP that have put their blood, sweat, and tears into making something for people to enjoy. J.K. Rowling is already rich, but there are a lot of people who are making their just living by working on these kinds of properties, these kinds of IPs. And so you're, by boycotting a game, you could put a studio out of business and put a lot of good people out of work. Mm-hmm. So you have to kind of think about that. And it's the same with this. It's like there are a lot of other people, Adi Granoff, for example, an artist, but they're, you've got the letterers, you've got the editors, you've got, marketing people, all these people who work on this. And then there's just the legacy of Iron Man in general. And so for me, when I read this, I can still separate the creator from the creation. I can still read this, love the art, love the story, and enjoy it. But I don't feel like I'm in some way supporting, Warren Ellis or his alleged bad behavior. Mm-hmm. So there is that kind of debate about, can you, divorce yourself from the creator and just appreciate the art for what it is and still be able to enjoy it. Another example, even though there was never any charges, never any concrete evidence. There were all these rumors and innuendo and things with Michael Jackson, and then these documentaries and stuff like that, and then people like, oh, I don't want to listen to his music. And, or, I don't want to laugh at like, stand up or, sitcoms from Bill Cosby from back in the day, And so, and then people feel guilty for having enjoyed something that turned out was created by, somebody who maybe was doing some messed up shit. And part of that too is, the saying like, don't meet your heroes, or, you remember these people are not superhuman. They're not gods. It's,
Mm-hmm.
Perfect
marred
example.
by mistakes. It's marred by mistakes. And
they made mistakes too, man.
They expect,
Right.
Look, I'm a Red Sox fan. I live in Boston. I'm a Red Sox fan.
Oh,
we had Kurt Schilling, and he won us World Series, man. I absolutely loved it. But Kurt Schilling is a douchebag. Do I like the man?
Mm-hmm.
No. Do I support things that he says? No. Was I happy that he was on the mound when we beat the shit out of the Yankees? Absolutely.
Of course you were. Yeah.
But like, again, it was just something that I thought about, and I figured I'd let you guys offer your take on it. But for me, Warren Ellis and his problems do not take away from my enjoyment of or appreciation for the Extremis storyline, nor do I think it should stop other people who've never read it from picking it up, because I think it is a really good Iron Man story. I think it's a good story in general. I think the artwork is fantastic. And I think we have to be able to separate the creator from the creation at certain times. And for me, I'm able to do that at least in certain situations. Maybe I'll come across one where it's just too hard for me. I don't know. But I haven't found that yet. But see what you guys think.
With this, like, again, because I was going through the photos while you were talking. I was like, yo, this is mirroring the first Iron Man, like almost by pages, like when you're looking at it. But I mean, I honestly, what you're telling me right now, I had zero idea, that there was that much that was going on, with the accusations and everything. And it just goes to show that, there's a world outside of collecting, comics and reading comics that we're not, unless you're in, because the thing is, you're not, even me as a comic book collector and an enthusiast, I'm not privy to every piece of information. You know what I mean? But it just lets you know that you enjoy an IP, but there's always one of those IPs that you enjoy, that you love, and there's something behind it that you may not agree with and be like, oh shit. Like, it makes you think like, damn, like I've supported this run because it's a great story, but the person behind it wasn't really a good dude or a good person or whatever. You know what I mean? But it's their own perspective. But I don't think that should discredit the art. That's the thing. You know what I mean? It shouldn't discredit the art. writing and the effort put into really bringing us good stories. You know what I mean? We talk about, like I said, and I don't want to really go down the rabbit hole. My thoughts on certain things that were done, even cinematically with certain actors and whatever. But it's like, yo, if there's art on camera, that art in a person's personal life is separate. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's just really wild. But I was just going through all of this, looking at page by page.
That's the thing with J.K. Rowling right now and Harry Potter, because Warner Brothers wants to do more live action Harry Potter stuff, you know, in that universe. But like, people are already talking about boycotting the game too, and it's like, you know what, a lot of people who make like 40-50K a year work on that game, so
are going to lose out.
You know, J.K. Rowling is already rich. She's already got enough money. If she makes more or doesn't, her life is really not going to change.
She's good.
But the developers are going to change.
This is also someone that is continuously keeps losing her billionaire status over and over again, because every time she makes $1 billion, she loses it by how much money she's constantly giving away to charity and constantly doing tons of good things and out of support of all types of different, you know, classes of people, and just happens to have a different opinion about science than the people that are upset with her. And I feel like it's really tough, because as a fan of her work and all the things she's done for, you know, getting kids to read and creating such amazing, you know, a culture of kids reading stories. By this stuff. I feel like it should be overshadowed because, in her personal opinion, she feels like only women can get periods. Now, having a statement like that and then feeling like because you think that, then if you support this person, she's going to use that money to go lynch your, you know, Aunt Greg. That is such a far reach, and I feel like it's extremism to a point, because you can disagree with someone on a certain level without feeling like there is, you know, lives at stake, and it's medium. I mean, and like Brendan has been saying, like there's so many more pieces of this puzzle to all these movies and books and video games and comics and TV shows that affect more than one person. And if you if you want to find dirt on someone, you're going to find dirt on someone, and that's one person. So if you feel like the only way you can consume media is if every single person who is involved with what winds up in your controller, or in your hand, or on your screen, or on your tablet, if every single person along the way has never said anything offensive, has never done anything offensive, have never cheated on their wife, never done anything wrong, then you are going to just wouldn't even be able to read the Bible. Technically, you wouldn't be able to do anything. So it's like it's a really slippery slope to say that if someone is going to entertain you, they better be able to have Jesus, like a
squeaky clean resume. You know, no blood, no red on your ledger.
Yeah,
I didn't know about this Warren Ellis stuff either, and
me neither.
It clearly was like around, I guess, when the Me Too stuff started, and this isn't the most, like Tony Stark looking dude. So to find out that there's like over 60 women who got together and made a whole website about how he was dating them and telling them that was the only girl, is like, I don't know how this dude was juggling literally at one point 19 different girls at one point, but it seemed like I'm wondering how Wilt hasn't been canceled yet, because that's the only person who's been a player in the past 20 years who's only been celebrated for it and not canceled. Well, I think everybody else gets in trouble
with Warren
because
Ellis,
we live in.
It was different with Warren Ellis though, because there were situations where some of those women were in the industry, and he was like kind of flexing his power in those relationships. I seen that too,
and I also didn't get like how much power does a writer have in the industry? It's not like he Weinstein.
Got to the point where he had some clout.
I get Weinstein, but you write can
right?
Like how many? I don't know. I just imagine that it's not like Weinstein can make or break you, get you in the industry or not. Like Bill Cosby, like that stuff I get.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much power writers have to get other artists and writers hired. And even if that's the case, it's a slippery slope also, because
it's like
here's the thing, like if you're a writer and you're a famous writer and some chick hooks up with you thinking that if you're Warren Ellis's girlfriend, he's going to get you in the door at Marvel and it works. Are you then still mad, or is it only only
exactly
mad if you didn't get the job, or if you don't become a star afterwards?
Right.
So
right.
Sometimes it's like with the Bill Cosby thing, where people using him and just mad that it didn't work out. It's a lot, and we weren't there. And I completely get anybody having the opinion that because he was, abusing his power or being a womanizer, then you can't now enjoy his books. That's fine. But in my opinion, the way these things go, you should not buy Warren Ellis books. You should tell me that I can't.
Right. Don't tell me what to do. Right.
You don't buy Hogwarts Legacy. Don't tell me that we can't.
Right.
That's how I feel about it.
Because the thing is, it becomes a situation like, okay, it's a slippery slope, because I always look at it like this, bro. All right, the Weinstein situation, that's different. That's deep. That's some deep shit. So
that's real deep.
You understand? That's real deep. And that motherfucker deserved what he got there. But what I'm saying is, in other aspects, Rowling, she didn't do anything to me.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Nothing.
She did nothing to me. Me. I understand that, some of the things that were actually, but didn't do anything to me. And I happen to enjoy the entertainment. But am I wrong for enjoying it? So you're telling that 20, that again, like, all right. And this is interesting that you brought this up, that this person or R. Kelly, right? So when we think about that, right, there's still people that would say today, all right, yeah, he did what he did, but you can't take away from the simple fact that he made some amazing music. And they still play his shit. You feel me? Like people will still play it because they celebrate the simple fact that it's R. Kelly's music, separating his art from the person. The person was a horrible. We know he was a horrible dude. He got away with some shit.
Every situation is nuanced. I mean, like for example, with R. Kelly, he can't make any more money off of his music. So you can play it 24/7, 365, and he's not making a penny off of it. So people aren't going to necessarily feel as guilty. You have other people who, again, are alive, like J.K. Rowling, and people like, I don't want to, and to be fair, I haven't heard anybody saying like you can't enjoy Harry Potter now. The people who are making the argument are saying they, don't want to give her more money. Like if you've already spent the money, read the book that you own, but they don't. And again, it's everybody's individual thing. I never put my opinion on somebody like you can't do this. You can't buy this. You can't support this person. So that's not in me. But bro, I will say that I can like the whole like cancel culture thing. There are people on both ends of the spectrum. Okay, there are just as many people on the political right as there are on the political left that want to cancel people who disagree with them. Exactly. So it's not about that. It's about just being more tolerant in general, but also being able to appreciate nuance in each situation and realize that not every situation is the exact same. Right. Yeah. And also recognize that there are other factors, and it's not just a black and white, I'm not going to give any more money to J.K. Rowling, so I have to boycott everything Harry Potter. When you realize that if you're trying to galvanize a large group of people to boycott that, then that means that all the other people who are nowhere near millionaires, who are busting their asses to create that game or to try and be a crew on the next Harry Potter movie or something like that, where you're a gaffer, you're not making a ton of money. Those are real people who, you're hurting them and their families.
Lose out.
So they put their life in that, bro. Like this is what livelihood.
And you also don't need to feel also based on an opinion
that art. Because it's like, listen, man,
that is to her and to science factual. So
it's factual.
Feel like
correct.
Science is not true anymore. That is fine if you feel that way. So that means that you shouldn't buy her shit
Right.
anymore. But to try to
Yeah.
organize
Right.
everyone and put pressure on
Because-
WB to not make any more games, not make any more films,
Right.
is just
Right.
the
Right.
the
It's
shitty part
ludicrous,
about
bro.
it is what it typically tends to lead to is it's not even that you want change or what you want to feel superior. That's what a big part of cancel
You don't
culture
like
is.
her opinion.
There's a lot of people
Right,
who
right,
apologize. Like there was a wrestler who just recently passed away, Jay Briscoe. He was denied getting a tribute show on a wrestling show because of a tweet he made 10 years ago that WB Discovery stepped in. AEW was like, nope, no tribute show for him because despite the fact that the past 10 years, the man has apologized. Mm-hmm. So this is the same company that also refuses to fire Ezra Miller. So there's certain things that are politics added into it, and like virtual signaling and trying to be morally superior and nuance and common sense isn't always involved.
Yeah.
And you're always trying to put out fires and worry about how much money you're going to lose by pissing off this group or this group, instead of just looking at that specific situation. And instead you put like everything as the same thing because like Warren Ellis' situation is not the same as Weinstein's. It's definitely not the same as R. Kelly's.
Hell no.
It's all different. So you can't just lump it all together that like if somebody, was a dickhead to a woman on this thing, or like you can't, like Dana White, slapped his girl. So like you can't put him in the same page as
situation.
Turner. You can't put him in. They both did, but it's not all the same. So you have to handle each thing differently. But I feel like what is always lost is like a lot of people, it's not enough that they don't like that person and they don't want to mess with Michael Jackson music or J.K. Rowling's movies. They want everybody to feel and agree with their opinion. And it's not enough that I don't buy R. Kelly. You can't.
Right.
Don't tell people what to do.
But see, we live in such a, we all grew up in the era of Archie Bunker, George Jefferson, Red Fox of Sanford and Son, Richard Pryor. We grew up in an era where thin skin didn't even exist.
Right.
Where we grew up. You know what I'm saying? Now, if your
Very
opinion, if your
Yeah.
opinion is not like somebody else's, even if it's factual and biologically correct, they want to cancel you.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Like this is the softest era I've ever remembered growing up.
But you know what? Here's the thing.
It's a soft era, bro.
It's a double-edged sword though, because the thing is the simple. Okay, so we now and the thing is we have to blame it on what we support. It's not the act, it's the act of supporting social media and being so we're so submersed in it.
Roger,
viewership on social media, we see this shit, so we watch it. We see it, we formulate opinions, we'll talk about it, even if we don't actually have factual evidence to support what we're saying. So then that shit spreads around like Chinese whispers, bro. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to go into this too much because I'm going to kind of move on to the next. But again, it's
but I feel what you're saying.
It's effed up, bro, because of where we are right now. That everything really, like, it's like you almost have to sign a document of a statement that you're making. Like before you even say a speech, you got to sign a document that says, okay, don't say this, don't say that, don't be, you don't want to do that.
Canceled for an opinion.
Like you really don't. So
just remember, you just got to remember though that the pendulum swings in both directions.
Exactly.
You got to remember that James Gunn, when he first got fired by Disney, that was fueled by the conservative right,
the kid post,
because James Gunn was a very loud.
He
liberal,
criticized Trump,
and so they went so they were like, oh, look what he did, and they basically lit that fire so that then more people on the left would also call for James Gunn's head, and he got fired. So like both sides of the spectrum use that against the other side, and people just get caught in the middle. So again, it's about recognizing the nuance, recognizing that it's not a clear-cut black and white. I don't want to give that person more money, when there are other people that have worked on that too. And it's about recognizing that R. Kelly is not Bill Cosby. is not James Gunn, is not Warren Ellis, is not Harvey Weinstein. That each one you have to look at it and say, okay, what is the situation here?
Yep.
And you have to actually apply some adult thought to it rather than just, oh, well, it's this, that means this. Like,
and you know what?
They all have their own lanes of controversy, bro. Everybody is in their own lane of controversy.
Something that's very controversial too, and I really don't care because it is what it is. Sometimes people, it all it takes, literally, all it takes is one. It takes one. And what I mean by that, it takes one person that can be completely sincere about what they're saying. It takes one person that can be sincere for 10 other individuals who aren't sincere to come out and say, oh yeah, it did that too, even though it might have been consensual. So I'm just saying it does happen. It happens. I'm not saying it does. It happens. You might have a person whose story is really personal and they've been waiting for a space to say this. But then you always have somebody out trying to do this person by saying, okay, well, this happened to me, that happened to me, this happened to me. Or
exactly.
You know, and it's not to say that it didn't happen, but again, a lot of us who are on the other side, even people in the media, you weren't in the room when these things basically took place. You weren't there. You're only going off a lot of stuff that even just discusses off of hearsay. But we got to be careful. Like it's just like to even say that it's now, like, you have to be fucking careful. It's crazy.
Right.
You gotta be careful because you don't want to be on the other end of someone's lying on you.
Exactly.
Where's somebody lying on you?
You don't. Right. All right. I want to move on because I want to get this. I do want to, but definitely extremists. You know, damn it. This was a controversial discussion. Great book. Controversial discussion. Butt naked. Thank you for pulling something like that.
Adi Granow's art was insane. He
did
how
to get that out of
a lot of design work for the movies too.
Yeah, definitely.
This art is
like that book is like Iron Man 1, 2, and 3 in one book, pretty much.
Yeah.
A lot of what, like, if you liked Iron Man, I mean, I know most people love Iron Man 1. Most people are a lot of people are split on 3. The best parts of 3 were inspired by Extremis, and a lot of the origin for Tony Stark in the 2008 Iron Man movie was also taken from this, and the art is phenomenal. So especially if you like more kind of like painted but like photorealistic style art,
painted drawings,
is definitely something that you want to check out. And if you get the director's cut, either in digital or the physical format, in the back, Adi Granoff in each issue goes over how they laid out the story, how they landed on the designs for all the different pieces of art, what they were thinking when they were telling this part of the story, what they were thinking when they decided how they wanted it to look. Really cool, like inside baseball stuff at the end of each issue if you'd go with the director's cuts.
Yuli Second Kid, I've been saying this about so many things that we actually see from comics. There needs to be more concepts. They make so much money to do it. They started with Iron Man. They can't stop with that. So anyway.
I think we're much more likely to get more of those types of comic concept things in statue form, to be honest, than 1/6 scale. Hot Toys, other than like 1 or 2 maybe in a year, they're pretty much focused on what's
movie accuracy,
tied to movie IPs.
They should make some.
We'll do more classic comic book stuff. So
yeah, definitely.
They should make a figure or a statue with that. You know how Tony had the how it came through his skin. That'd be dope to see that in a figure.
Yeah, again, that's something I think you're not going to see in 6 scale. It's
probably a statue.
It's too small and fragile for that. It would probably be a statue.
Yeah.
So I want to bring this up real quick because, like I said, I want to give some time to really discuss this. Again, everybody knows, you know, what's been presented for the last couple of weeks. If you haven't, the last 2 weeks, if you haven't been watching every Sunday 9 o'clock, I don't know where you should be because, like, I'm always in front of the TV to basically watch this. And I want to say something. Now, we are talking about right now The Last of Us, and I just want to say this really quick.
Great show.
Okay, so we've seen so many comic book adaptations. We've seen, you know, different adaptations that we wanted to see succeed, and they have failed horribly because one of the biggest problems is that they deviate from the content that's there, that it's there written, it's perfect, but they just don't know how to adapt it, or they just get overzealous and they just want to do their own thing. This show, and I'm just going to say, like, beat by beat, 2 episodes, even with the minor changes, bro. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
Show's fire.
Wow. And everybody who basically had their opinions about Pedro Pascal playing Joel, I hope you change your mind. I hope you change your mind, because he is killing it. Even Ellie, the character, she's killing it, like, right now, in my opinion. This show, like, literally, I mean, look, I thought last week's episode was dope, but the start of this week's episode, just that very beginning, even though it deviated, it was still effing dope. And if you aren't watching this show right now, like, literally, I mean, I really can't explain it. And this is somebody who hasn't even played the game the whole way through. It's like, literally, it's just watching. God. And literally, this is somebody who hasn't played the game.
You gotta finish it.
But you know what I did? I spent 3 hours just watching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just and it, bro. From what I'm seeing so far, damn, like, it looks so good. So
listen.
Good. Yeah, go ahead.
That first episode, bro, I know I probably overhauled on my geekdom, but I beat the first game so many times, right? I tried to do like I did a picture-in-picture on my TV, and I was playing the game from that first scene when they
was online. You can find them,
dude, bro. I geeked out, dog. Like, they did that first episode where they were leaving in the truck. That jump was to the T. Even after the daughter, I don't want to say what happened to her, but what happened when they rolled down the hill.
We spoiled.
Oh, we spoiling it now.
Anybody
okay, so even
who's
after
watching this right now, if you haven't watched the show,
you haven't watched it, you don't want to be here right now because we're about to
spoil it. I'm sorry. Dude, that part when the soldier came, it was straight up from the game, dog. When he shot her and they rolled down the hill, just like the game. I was like, yo, what the fuck? They did their homework. They did their homework. This show, if you're not watching it, you sleep. What a good show. And Pascal, I don't even see him, bro. I see Joel. He looks just like Joel from the game, bro. Like, I don't even see Pascal at all. Straight up Joel, man. What a good show. HBO killed it with this.
So I'm not a gamer like I used to be when I was a teenager, but over the past 10, 15 years, there's been maybe 5 or 6 games where I went all in on and finished all the way through. And one of those is Last of Us. And when I finished playing it, I was like, I've been playing games for almost my whole life. And this is if not the best game I've ever played, in the top 3 or 5 at the most. But the reason for that at the time when I was playing the game back in 2013 was I don't think I've ever cared about who lives or dies in a video game before. You know what I mean? I don't usually get as emotionally connected or attached as I do watching a film or reading a comic as with a video game, because it's more about the gameplay and the action. But with that opening sequence in the game, which they basically did scene for scene in the show in the first episode, beginning with Sarah,
scene for scene.
When I had to start playing, when the cutscene ended and it was my turn to start going, I'm like, yo, I need a minute. What are you doing? I ain't ready to play. I need a tissue or something. And the bonding between them throughout the game, in between when you're walking through a stage or a level of their just banter back and forth, it added so much depth and so much like bonding time. It just was such a more emotional and raw and like connective experience than I've ever really seen in the game before. And that all boils down to, writing and dialogue that they mixed in so phenomenally well with the gameplay and the cutscenes and the graphics. And it's a tall order, but at the same time, if you nail it, it's a perfect medium for it. And I'm so glad they're doing this as a TV show instead of a movie, because you need time. This one's a slow burn with a ton of shit happening, but you need time to establish Joe and Ellie's relationship. And I feel like the set pieces, I feel like maybe they get that right. The acting, maybe they get that right. But like, how many of the scenes are they going to have in this? And then they start this show out with like, there's 2 scenes that they can't fuck up. They can't fuck up Sarah's scene and they can't fuck up. I'm not going to spoil it. The last scene of the game, and they foreshadowed the last scene of the game, and they set up the opening scene with Sarah just iconically, perfectly. Joe is phenomenal, and this actress they got for Ellie has caught a lot of shit for not looking like Ellie, but she acts exactly like Ellie.
Yeah.
Like, that is Ellie's smart ass mouth every step of the way, but it's not in a way that's like annoying. It's just like how a badass teenager who just will grow into a mature, ready for this world teenager is how she carries herself. And the stuff that they've tweaked and added to it, like the old TV show in the beginning of the first episode was fucking phenomenal and brilliant, and maybe more scary than anything that we're gonna see, just because like the way he delivered that is like you believe it. And then the Indian doctor, I believe she was Indian, in this second episode, her setup was like kind of like an addition, and that drove home it phenomenally well too. And then the way that they have composed these scene layouts, like you're sitting there, if you've played the game, you're sitting there going, oh, that's where, oh shit,
I've been there.
It's so dope. It's so because like you said with the setup, video game fans have not had an easy road when it comes to licensing.
No.
Whether it be, like, I mean, back in the day, it was a two-way street. You couldn't get a good video game based on a licensed product because they had to spend all the budget on getting the licensed product, and then you couldn't get a decent TV show or movie based on any video game because, I mean, just look at the old Super Mario Brothers points and look at how many of them were so bad. Like, I mean, you've had it rough if you were a video game fan wanting to get a good show or movie out of it. So this is the new best show on TV. So if you're not watching it, get on it.
And to really quick answer Yuli the Kid, one, if they'll take a 5-year break to let Ellie age up. Well, she's already aged up kind of now. It's just that we're seeing the app. I mean, because they filmed this. It's taken a few years to film this the way we see it now. So she'll be aged up. You know, they're gonna definitely work on season 2. You know, this and here's my thing.
In real life, Bella Ramsey is actually 19 years old.
19 years old.
Doesn't look like what she is.
Exactly. So okay. So we'll get in that discussion a little bit because I think there's going to be a lot more changes made because of the success of this series. There's going to be changes made, but in a good way. But I know some people are going to think about that. I don't know. But you know, Brennan, go ahead. What were you going to say, bro?
This 2 episodes in, this is the single best video game to screen adaptation ever made.
Yeah, I
TV,
agree.
film, ever made. Okay. This second episode, I loved the first episode. I love this second episode even more. This second episode was directed by Neil Druckmann. Neil Druckmann, the head of Naughty Dog, created The Last of Us. The video game creator directed this episode, and he directs more episodes this season.
That's really cool.
That's unheard of.
That's really,
you
really
get
cool.
like video game, studios, like, get like an executive producer credit or something. He helped write this whole season and directed this fucking episode, which was brilliant.
Definitely, Dylan.
The scenes that they've added at the beginning, which weren't in the game, the show, the talk show at the beginning of the first game, episode. This one with the Indonesian doctor in, I think they were in Jakarta.
Jakarta.
If you remember when Joel, Tommy, and Sarah are at the kitchen table and the news is playing in the back, and they ask, "Where's Jakarta?" and like they didn't know. They said, "Where's Indonesia?" Like they didn't know where it was. That news report was basically talking about the outbreak that we then got a glimpse of in the second episode. In that scene. When she says, when the guy asks her, "What do we do?" and she says,
"Wow,
bomb the city."
Yep.
And I want to go home and be with my family now. This
That
woman
was
is
deep.
saying, you have to kill all of us, myself
Yeah.
included.
Me too.
We all have to
We're done.
die
Right.
to save
We're done.
the planet. Otherwise,
Right.
everyone loses.
Mhm.
Right.
That drives home. Look, just like what John Hannah, the actor who was in the Mummy movies in the 90s, what he said at the beginning of episode 1, you know, when they were like, well, what happens if that fungus like can survive in human bodies?
And the human.
He said,
Yeah.
we lose.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not like, well, it's going to be, no, we fucking lose.
We lose,
And
yeah.
game over,
Mm-hmm.
right? They set
And that was
the stage for
1968.
what you're experiencing in this game. And this is the biggest challenge that this show had going in was how do you make the experiential nature of the game translate to a show? Because a big part of what makes the game so special is the experience of being Joel, not just watching, but experiencing. Like Vinny said that time, we're like, I'm not ready to continue. What the fuck? Like, I got to absorb this.
Right.
But you go.
Right.
The experience of, especially on the PS5 with like the remaster or the remake, and then and Last of Us Part 2 with the haptic, when you feel the impact of every time you hit somebody with a hammer or a machete or something, it's this visceral feeling of when you're going through like the museum, for example, and you've you know, you got the clickers in there. It's watching it is different than actually holding the controller and having to
playing through,
respond when you're in that. How are they going to translate that? And the other thing was they changed the spores in the game to the tendrils, and I was a little I don't know if I really like that. And initially, I love it now. Initially, the reason why I was a little bit off on that was because the spores, and one, they used it in the marketing material, like the logo, when it says The Last of Us, you see spores floating around.
Yeah.
But the spores added this element to the environment when you were in those areas, and you knew that there were clickers and there were infected that were in this dark space, and you could see the spores. And it gave it this dread and this atmosphere. And I was like, oh, we're going to be missing that.
Yeah.
But we weren't. And that's the way they shot that scene where you see the clickers, all right? And the way they did that, they added a different element of terror, because and they even said this in the after show and stuff. And this was a thing that even when I played the game, I was like, well, that's kind of, you know, like the second they got out of like a doorway where there were spores in that room, they would take their gas mask off. I'd be like, you're standing right next to the door that's open with the spores right there. It's like you had to suspend disbelief because it's a video game, right? But it was always like a, you know, and then they said the spores wouldn't just stay localized in like one particular room or one building. They would get out through windows. They would they would get out into the atmosphere, and people just walking outside, you would get infected. You'd breathe them in, right?
And let's be honest, just like any other game, movie, whatever, we'd have the actors in gas masks and all. And these, you can't put
Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal in gas masks in every single episode as they crawl through it and having them emote and deliver dialogue. Right. You can't do that. Having the tendrils, that adds a whole new element of, one, believability, but two, fear-inducing motherfuck. Because when they step on, or when they shoot the guy that is still connected to those tendrils,
and it comes
and
up,
all of that, and that was actually really like when all of those infected were on the ground in there, when they were looking down at that was Quincy Market here in Boston. I know, I've been there millions of times. I know exactly where that is. When and I've been to
you're going to see that shit differently now. When you look at it,
dude. Especially
that museum too.
Like, I've literally
museum.
Brandon, why are you walking so slow?
Restaurant that
why are you crouching behind the counter?
They were all on top of a fucking restaurant that I've eaten at, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
When they
You can be
all
checking for
get up,
mold.
now it's that, and this was done similar to Stranger Things season 4, right? Where if they step on one, then like he knows where they are, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like you've got to watch out, because if you take one wrong step, you could alert every infected within a mile who's connected to those tendrils like they were. And so that adds this whole new element of dread. So you don't lose anything by not having the spores, but you gain something by having the tendrils. So
and you can hear when you heard them fuckers when he went to the door and he heard them. I was like,
the sound design in this show has been absolutely phenomenal, because the sound of the clickers, I guarantee you, motherfuckers were like going to bed on Sunday night, and they were hearing clicking in the dark. That sound they made so frightening. And they actually had the voice actors who made the clicker noises in the game. They had them make them in the show too. It was the way the clickers looked with the makeup, because that was not CG. That
just
was
like the game.
Makeup.
Yeah,
it was
just like the game.
Well done. Anna Torv as Tess. And I love Anna Torv from back in the day in Fringe. All right. Anna Torv did such a good job of selling that character and understanding that when she realized that Ellie could be the key to saving humanity, as hardened as she had become, the person that she was before this, where she was more maternal and more caring about other people, all of a sudden came back to life and came through. And she's like, Joel, you've got to make sure that she gets there. And everything that they've done in this, I can't wait for this third episode, because not to spoil anything, but this third episode is like 90% of it is actually based on collectibles, notes that you can find in this guy Bill's
in the game
house in the game that tells a backstory that you don't actually get to see. But we're actually going to get to see the backstory. But that's the video game creators deciding we have the opportunity to actually tell you this part of this.
And show the whole game.
Because in the game, you just see them show up. You don't see, you hear that, you see the notes.
This is not the classic Hollywood making changes to the source material because they think they can do it better. This is a great collaboration between the people who made the game and an amazing storyteller in Craig Mazin, who are collaborating and coming together to figure out the best way to tell the same story in this medium and keep true to that video game. And part of the way you keep true to that video game is to figure out what the best way to tell it on this medium is. And they're doing that, and they're doing it with reverence for the source material. And they're willing, when they deviate, it's not even really deviation. It's more adding something to it, like those opening scenes.
You know what? I hope they
added to.
I hope they do more. You know how when they were fighting in the museum, I peeped it out. Like they're fighting in the museum, and then Joel dropped the AR-15. Like, oh shit, go back and get the rifle. But it was like just like the game. He went back. He killed him inside the museum.
So many ways.
Then he went back to pick up the rifle. It was just like the game, bro.
It was just like part the game. About this is they've made a point to tell us that season 1 will be the first game, so they're not milking it and stretching it out. The irony is they're doing such a great job that I almost kind of want to be 2 seasons.
Stretch it out so we get more.
We get to the so that we could get to the end of the first game by the end of the second season, so that way it's even that more impactful. Because it's like if they're doing this good, like with the first 20 the hour of the game,
freaking 2 episodes.
Like, I kind of I wouldn't be mad if you drag this out for 2 seasons. It's good.
Here's the thing: the first season I think will be the first game, but the second game was so much longer.
I'm gonna be mad.
And it has a clear divergent point where you can split the second game into 2 seasons and potentially give them time to get the third game out even before, because they are
because in game 2 Joel was gone. Well, that's what pissed me off.
We got 2 seasons.
You just became Robert Meyer Burnett, bro.
Yeah, seriously.
That's me.
Where's the Where's the piggy
I'll
bank?
take
He's
it.
got to put the,
So far,
the spoiler.
I'll
money
take
into
it.
But
I knew it was
Toybox,
coming.
Toybox
I knew it was
said
coming. I knew.
something- Toybox
You
said
knew I was
something
going to say
really good
something.
in the chat.
You knew I was going to say something.
When Toybox mentioned, like, hey, it's not, we're silent, not quiet, silent.
You
Like,
know
when
me.
Joel
I've been drinking
said
red
that,
wine too.
It's ways of selling the atmosphere and the understanding that we have as players in the game, where he tells Ellie,
You knew it.
hey, we're not quiet now, we're silent. That means if you're not silent, we're all dead.
Yeah.
It's
true.
without having to go point by point. Okay, everybody, so these are clickers and this is what happens. They were given all that information as audience members through context in the way they did it, without it feeling like, okay, we're laying out the rules for you. They're doing it in a very organic way, and it's been absolutely brilliant.
They're killing it, bro.
Let me ask you,
here's the thing. No, go ahead, Jason.
Go ahead. No, let me ask you.
I was going to say
the whole thing.
What I was going to say was watching it, again, because I was sort of kind of explaining it to Toya the entire time. I thought I was going to have to, but I forgot that Toya has a somewhat of a degree, she has a degree in English, but also environmental chemistry, as well as she's really good with science, bro. And she was even telling me, she knows about spores, she knows about everything that they were mentioning, even before they said it. And she was like, look, even before they said anything about the fungus, she was like, do they understand? Even before the doctor was saying anything, she was like, yo, do they understand in a field, a warmer climate, in a harvest field or something like that, how much that can expand and how bad that can actually get? And as soon as she said that shit, the doctor said it. I was like, fuck, did you play the game? She was like,
and she's like, how many? Because they were like, how many other workers are missing? 14.
Yeah. 14. They all had to die.
She was like, 14, huh? Well, it's been real.
Let's blow me up. Let's blow us all up.
City.
Right.
Bro, look, we're talking about the amount of damage one person can do. But you're saying 14?
14 is the whole world. That could be that whole country.
That's it.
The whole country in hours.
You think about it. It took one person. When we think about it, it took one person back in 2019 before 2000 to basically hit the United States to get COVID to spread that shit.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Because when you watch outbreak movies, something as extreme as bombing it would always be I don't know, 7 years after everything's already fucked. It's always the very last.
It's too late. And right.
When we watched COVID happen here, and it was just do everything in the world except for anything drastic. Meanwhile, North Korea was like, oh shit, that dude that's COVID, bam, they shot him. And it was no, they were a small part of me was we would never have the balls to do that here because people would be worried about getting in trouble. So when she was like, no, you gotta just bomb us all,
bomb us all. And that's their top chemist, their top chemist in the country.
For my family, so I can spend time with them, because she knew it was over.
Right.
At that point, it was done.
Right. What I was going to say was,
you see that in Walking Dead a little bit too. They had, when they did Fear of the Walking Dead to show how it set up, it was frustrating how inactive they were when they had so many opportunities to contain it and just kill people and just be done with it, and they just refused to.
And they didn't. Yeah, true. But see, okay, so I hope we get like a rewind of how Boston got tore up. She said they bombed it, but I would like to see what happened, especially with the two towers and the museum and all that.
Yeah.
You think they'll go back to that, like a little
I mean, they don't in the game.
Pre-story or what happened.
Already like that in the game.
I know they don't do it in the game, but it was simply since we got it on TV.
They could, but it would have to add something to the story, right? Where each of the two additional scenes that we've had so far have added to the story by providing context that helps the people who haven't played the games get to where we are, who have played the games. But then for us, it adds even more depth to what our experience has already been.
I think the important
would have to do that. It would have to bring something like that, and in the same way that this next episode is supposed to, where it's derived mainly from notes, the collectibles that you find in the game. So they've got it. If they were going to show something like that, it would have to bring some depth.
You said
that we need.
The two doctor scenes set up two very important things. One is how much of an anomaly it is that Ellie would be able to provide a cure, because they spent 20 years where it was hopeless. So it wasn't like, we just need to find, we just need to find, Dr. Fauci and we'll be okay. Nah, there's literally no hope. And then the bombs had to like set up why the world looks like that, because even if we were overrun by zombies, you wouldn't expect all the buildings to be blown up, because abandoned, or fires, yes, but you wouldn't see towers laying over top of each other from a zombie outbreak, you would imagine, because that was the destruction on a scale much worse than people. It was us bombing the shit out of ourselves to contain the quarantine. So that is smart, because it gives you added context and lets the story stay focused on the most important thing that this story will do this whole season, is bond those two characters. That's
and you think they got rid of the spores itself, because it would be too hard to show them, like, because in the game they don't wear the mask the whole time.
They got rid of the spores. They said they got rid of them.
They need to be able to show their face in the mode. It's a lot more important for him to be showing his face than the Mandalorian to be showing his face. He needed to be able to act his ass off with Ellie for the next 7 episodes.
Yeah, they said,
but you don't like the game. They show it in like
because of the gas masks and because of the realism and the fact that like the spores would get out of a room or a basement or something.
We get out and get an atmosphere. Okay.
So they wanted something that was more real, and the tendrils gave them a way to do that.
The tendrils to me are more terrifying, to be honest.
Well,
I don't want to go out like that.
So they upgraded in a sense.
I would never want to go out like that. I'll shoot myself.
That shit with Tess, bro, like
that messed me up saying that. Yeah,
and she stood there the entire time,
and she couldn't do nothing, bro.
They couldn't do nothing because
there's an Easter egg in there for fans of Naughty Dog and their games, because the lighter that she's using to spark that final flame to blow them all up.
That's from their thing.
If you see the insignias and everything on the side, it's actually designed after the lighter that Sam Drake in Uncharted 4 uses.
And the thing is, it was a lot of.
And they've added a bunch of different Easter eggs throughout this game too that you'll see from Naughty Dog's games.
We don't talk about Uncharted though, but
it's
what I was
you gotta be mad if you're an Uncharted fan. Like we're getting Last of Us fans are getting this, and Uncharted
hold up.
But listen real quick.
True.
There was a lot of pushback. I even saw it like this morning from a lot of people who hadn't played the game. They loved the scene, but they hadn't played the game, so they didn't really understand why the character, like why she was there, why she didn't move, like why she didn't.
She died in the game, though. She died in the game.
She died in the game, but it was also even like because the writers were like, well, you have to understand that she was infected and almost semi-connected at that point.
Yeah, she sacrificed herself.
But she had to die there, and she was frozen with fear because she was like, "I'm going to die." I
feel like it wasn't just that. I feel like it was fear, but I also feel like if she's standing still, they're attracted to noise. You're gonna make a lot less noise just trying to flick the ladder than if you're running. One of them on you, but if you're scrambling around trying to light this ladder, they're all gonna swarm you.
You're gonna come at you, right? You won't have the time to light it.
I mean, realistically, all she needed to do was ditch the lighter and pick up one of the grenades that spilled out on the green.
I was thinking that's what was going to happen. I thought she was going to grab a grenade instead.
There was like 20 grenades on the ground. Like, okay, well,
but again, I think Anna Torv played that really well.
She killed it, man.
The thing this has been a very layered experience. There are tons of things to appreciate, and this is a very rewatchable show, assuming you don't see fans, when you're watching it, because like, I was on after the first episode, I'm on FaceTime with Lael, and he's like going back to watch them because a lot of people missed at the end of the first episode when they're like when they're walking out and it shows like the city, in ruins and like the lightning flashes. You hear the clicker, right? But you can actually see a clicker on the left-hand side of the screen, a tiny one on the rooftop going and making the lightning noise, flashes, and you can see.
I'm gonna watch it again.
Yeah.
They did it like Dark Knight Returns. They just had it light them up real quick.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
and
watch
so
it
you
again.
definitely see them, but a lot of people miss that, and then
I
some people
missed
are
it.
going back. There are a lot of layers to this thing.
Yeah.
I will say, the first episode was the second most watched premiere behind House of Dragons, which literally had like double that, so it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
But it was still the second. But this second episode increased viewership, live viewership, 22%, which is the single jump from first episode to second episode in the history of HBO.
Listen,
that's insane.
This show is going to be
word of mouth.
The next Sunday night, what the fuck? Where you got to watch this show?
Yeah,
it's the next one.
Now, do you think he'll get all the a lot of the weapons from the game, like the big ass flamethrower and fucking that submachine gun and all that? I hope he does, bro.
Well,
I hope he does. The bow and arrow for her.
Is predominant. I'm sure a bow and arrow will happen at some point, but the game is predominantly. Remember, in the game, it's not like Call of Duty. Ammo is scarce. You have
you got to find everything, right? You got to find the shit.
Is he going to be taking a backpack off and crafting shivs and stuff like that?
I can't wait for that.
I hope so.
Him making medical.
I want to see him do it.
I was waiting for him to throw a brick. I'm like,
he might do it once, but
a bottle,
going to throw a
make
bottle
a Molotov,
or a brick or something.
Molotov or something.
But it's not going to be like a every episode kind of thing. It's going to be like, maybe once or twice here and there.
Yeah.
When it makes sense within the context of the conflict that he's in.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be like, you got to get this. And again, weapons and ammo were scarce in this game. That was the whole point, is that you had to, he fired a lot of bullets in that, in that last episode, I would have been using my melee to conserve.
Listen, when he dropped that AR-15,
about the gameplay in the first game is you couldn't really Rambo your way through the game. You had to
be
very sneaky and crafty and assassinate them as much as you could, because you weren't going to just barrel.
There's no fucking reload, bro. There's no literally.
But that's what made the game so scary. Is you've got one bullet and you're down in this this dark basement with 10 clickers.
Yeah.
Oh,
and you've got to keep creeping silently.
And another thing
in the head
is everything is fucking wet, which is just like the games. The games were constantly wet because
everything is wet.
Everything was always wet, because really, if 20 years there's no one in any of our buildings, that would be one of the first things to happen. Is rain would go through all of our roofs. And make everything drenched.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question though, real quick. Before we close this out here, do you think that because of the success of this season, because of the popularity of Pedro Pascal and where it's heading, do you think that, because what they're saying is that there's a possibility, I don't know, I guess they're going to actually try to complete the entire first season, the game in the first season.
They're saying season 1 is the first game. And they said that they plan to do season 2 the second game. But I feel like it's going to take a hell of a lot of self-control for them not to look at how big a hit this is and milk it. But
I would break it down
that they're not going to.
So they're saying that they're not going to deviate from the second game.
Because if they take, all right, so
they're not changing the story.
By the time this first season is done, then they get production started on second season. By the time the second season is done, that puts us well into 24, 25, and part 3 should be out in 24. So that gives time to.
I don't know.
So they are making a third game.
So that
but I don't think the third game is going to come out until at least 2025, 2026.
I don't think it's going to be done to 25 years. They're saying 24. I don't think it's going to hit that goal.
No.
But the point is, I don't think the season will be over, because I feel like they'll do this season this year. I don't think they'll try to do another season at the end of the year.
We second game is
second season till 2024 anyway. So that would give them time to wait till season 3 till the game's all right. The problem is, if the pacing is even at that pacing, that would put them starting to work on a game not long after the third game is out, working on season 3.
And I
think that they would want the game to be in people's hands for a decent amount of time before you put it on screen, because I'm sure they feel like, well, who's going to want to play the game if they could just watch the show?
Yeah,
because Walking Dead.
They just show that sales for the new remake and then part 2 went up something like 300% after these the first episode.
Listen,
and
people
week. So it's gonna.
gotta,
but I think the second game is too big. It's much bigger than this first game. As far as like the campaign, the length. I don't think they do that in one 8-9 episode season. I think that the second season, not that they're milking it. I think the first game you can do in one season. The second game, I think, would have to be 2 seasons to get through that whole story.
I even felt like as long as it was quality, they could have got away with 2 seasons for the first game. So with the second game, they definitely could get away with 2 seasons.
That's what I hope they do, man.
It's milking it. I think it'll just be that's what they need to tell it.
Yeah.
And that'll give them time for the third game.
Because these are dialogue-heavy games. This isn't an action game where you're just barely fighting bosses.
No, it's a character study.
It's a character study. Yeah. So the more time. This is a different type of dynamic. Ironically, this is the type of a show that you milk because it wouldn't be milking it. It's just giving you, because even in the game while you're doing side missions and shit and just literally just walking around exploring, they're talking, which is one of the first times I've ever seen that in a game. You have 2 characters, you're in a game, and you're just going around looking for, ammo
and
or loot
conversating.
or whatever.
They're having a
and
conversation,
they're talking the whole time. All that dialogue builds towards the end of the game so that they're closer by the time you get to the climax.
I don't know. Anyway,
very, very,
the AI engine in this game is amazing. It's amazing.
This show literally.
I just hope they did like you were saying. They cut it in half.
I hope they put
6 and 6. Be a season 1 and season 2.
Quality in this show that they do if it's true that we get a Ghost of Tsushima movie. Because that's the type of quality I want to see.
True.
Well, I'm hoping that this is the new blueprint because they're doing a Horizon game at Netflix. They're doing a Horizon show at Netflix based on Horizon Zero Dawn. They're doing a God of War show at Amazon Studios.
Wait, Kratos, whole.
Yeah. And then we're also
now those are 2 different games. Like this is what sets this apart.
They can't mess that game up, bro.
Yeah, but I feel like with those are much more action oriented. Like they can get away with it being more of just blow shit up and do cool like action set pieces. Yeah. This show has to be about
a lot less dialogue. The source material and let's figure out the best way to be faithful to this source material in this medium rather than, this is how we do things over here in TV and change stuff because they think they can do it better. And I think because Sony Sony Interactive is so heavily involved, and this is also going to give a lot more clout to Sony Interactive when they're working with studios to make other games into movies and TV shows, because they're saying, hey, look, motherfuckers, we just made the show to fucking end all shows. You need to respect the IP and let us, and have guys like Neil Druckmann, hey, I'm directing episodes, I'm writing, I'm helping create this show because I created the fucking IP in the first place. That kind of stuff. And I think if there's more of that, then we're going to get better adaptations of games into TV and into film. And so again, I hope that this sets the tone for that to happen in the future, because
yes, Toebox, we agree. Don't pull a Witcher.
Oh God, no. That show, I like it, but it's so far from the game.
And that's the thing. And so people, I know, the second game is, has a lot of people divided. Here's the thing. And I saw, somebody say, hopefully, a second, season will give them the opportunity to correct the things they did wrong in the second game.
I think the second.
If that's what you're hoping for, then don't watch the second season, because I guarantee you, Neil Druckmann is going to tell the story that he told in the game on TV. He is not deviating from it. He's not like, oh, this section of fans didn't like what we did in that game, so we have to change it. He is flat out going to be like, fuck you. This is my story. I'm telling it exactly the way I want. And you're going to either have to live with it or don't watch it. But
you're talking about if they do a season 2.
If you think they're going to change the second game for the second season of the TV show, I'm telling you right now, it ain't happening. It is going to be the second game story. whether you like it or not.
The second game was phenomenal. I understand and don't understand the hate at the same time, but don't expect them to change it. If you watch those first 2 episodes and see how loyal it is, expect more of that, whether you like it or not. Good or for good or
and I love it.
Better for worse.
The first game,
if you have a problem with the story.
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you.
The first game, I absolutely love it. The second game,
Anyway,
the second game's a masterpiece.
Anyway, look, before we kind of get into it, we just got to kind of wait and see. I'm going to close it out here, but thank you so much. This has been a dope conversation. Can't wait to see what comes on or how they play out the next episode. It's going to be dope. It's going to be incredible. Again, I'm all in on the show every Sunday night, 9 o'clock. I mean, everybody out there, if you haven't seen it, make sure you actually watch it. If you haven't played the game, even if you haven't played the game, still watch the show because it's a very dope-ass show. And it is
But go play the game.
But
go play the game. It's amazing.
Play the game.
But, play the game. But it's just, for some people who just may not have the time to do so, it's still a decent show to basically watch and get yourself involved in. So anyway, thank you very much, everybody out there. Butt Naked, what you got coming up next, bro?
Not much. I'll quickly just show people the stuff that I grabbed in the last week or two. So one of the big ones I got is I've been reading the Omni too, and I picked up this Moon Knight #1 in from the Charlie Houston David Finch run.
Yeah.
So I picked up that slab. Loved it. I mean, it's such a good run. The art is phenomenal. And I've been reading the Omni of that recently, so I decided to pick up that slab. Because they had such a long gap between the issues, I read the first issue of The Last Ronin, and then I fell off and I didn't finish it. So I just picked this up yesterday and finished it, or the day before yesterday, and finished it because it's so fucking good. If you love the Turtles or if you've never read them, you can still pick this up.
I still gotta read that.
It's so damn good.
Get that.
You can see all Kevin Eastman's love for Frank Miller in this book. It's so evident. The art is phenomenal. The story is absolutely masterful. Definitely check that out. The whole thing is like 220 pages or something, and I tore through it. I also picked up the Alias Omni. They sent me the wrong cover the first time, so I had to send it back. And then I picked up this one with the original David Mack artwork. Absolutely love this. So this is Brian Michael Bendis created Jessica Jones. Absolutely love this one. So I'm going to be diving into that fairly soon as well. Then my favorite Captain America run is Ed Brubaker's run. And so this is out of print, but I managed to find a good copy of it. And so I got this. This has the Winter Soldier origins and that whole run-in. I mean, he's the guy who gave us the Winter Soldier. This is an absolutely great, and this is an absolutely great run. Art is phenomenal. You got Civil War in here, the first Civil War, and it's just, I absolutely love it. And then I literally just got this in today. This is like just shy of 1,700 pages. I think it weighs a fucking ton. This is the Avengers versus X-Men Omni that just came in. I mean, look at this.
Wow.
Look at that. Is
like a fucking encyclopedia.
That is thicker than a Snickers. This thing is amazing. I mean, it's massive. So that's going to take me a while to dig through. I love reading Omnis, though. It's a great way to just take an entire run or an entire arc like AVX and really get, dive into it and enjoy it. I also picked up this. I have Alias #1. I've got the Omni, and I've got a bunch of others, but I hadn't had this one yet. So this is issue 24, which is the first appearance of Zebediah Kilgrave, the Purple Man, in Jessica Jones, which a lot of you will remember from the Netflix show. So I picked that up. And then Batman One Bad Day Bane. I've been looking forward to this one. I really want to see like a comic accurate Bane on screen like this. I love Tom Hardy, but I want to see this. So I grabbed that. And then I was able to grab a bunch of So actually, this is the OG, the original Moon Knight #1. So I managed to pick this up in a really, really crisp copy. I mean, it's probably like a 9.2. Maybe I'll get a clean and press and even bump it up a little bit more. But this is the 1981 Moon Knight #1. So it's not Werewolf by Night 32, but this is still pretty awesome. So I was happy to pick that up. And then I picked up, obviously, some Daredevil. So I got 155 here in a beautifully clean copy with Cap and Natasha Romanoff on the cover there. This one's got insanely vibrant colors. This is 157 with Mr. Fear, again, Cap and Black Widow on there. These are all super clean copies that I found at a local shop. Another Daredevil that I love this cover. This is 75. And so this is, you got the Daily Bugle on there. Absolutely love this cover. So I've been filling out my volume 1, and this is another beautiful cover. Beautiful copy of Daredevil #41, Death to Mike Murdock. So grab those, but those were just kind of the preamble to the big one that I got, which was Daredevil #2. Second appearance of Daredevil, second appearance of Electro, and the first meeting between Matt Murdock and the Fantastic Four. So this goes right in there with my Daredevil #1. But yeah, this is just like a beautiful, crisp, clean copy, vibrant colors, really good condition. So this will be one that I'll get cleaned and pressed and graded at some point soon. But this one was priced at about, I think, like $900, and I got this and the Moon Knight and a handful of others, and I got it for zero money because I traded a couple 6-scale statues and one hot toy that I already had, but somebody was stupid and sent me 2 of for no reason, so I flipped one. So I didn't pay anything out of pocket for those. And then the last things that I got, just some pieces of art that I got in a mystery box that I get every month. So got a really cool Scarlet Spider there.
Oh, I like that.
I love this one. I've always been a fan of the Scarlet Spider design myself, and even though the dark web has been so horribly disappointing lately, this is still really awesome. And then it was fitting that The Last Ronin was the one I just read, because in that same box last month got Raphael. This is really cool art print by Nate Made It. And
that's
then
dope. I like
in
that.
the one that arrived today, my favorite turtle, we got Leo.
Nice.
And this thing is fucking gorgeous. So I'm hoping that he does Mikey and Donnie next, and then finishes it off, or maybe does Splinter too, but then finishes it off with The Last Ronin, because that would be epic if he did. So yeah, so that's I fucking love those. I mean, just the side by side, like these things, these are awesome. So
those colors are sick, man. Wow.
Art, man, like art prints like this from guys. That's why I can't wait. In April, got the old school comic show, Little Giants shop. He's got 28,000 square feet for this show. Jim Steranko and a couple other legends. I'm not allowed to say who just yet, but some other big comic book legends, writers and artists are going to be there. It's going to be a really kick-ass show. If you're in New England, check it out. It's only like $15 to get in, and there are going to be some just phenomenal. It's 28,000 square feet of nothing but comic books and art and artists there to sign. CGC will be there for witnessing stuff. But this is the guy that I got like my Daredevil #1 and all those like crazy expensive books from. He puts this thing on. And if you're in New England, definitely check it out, because it's on April 15th, I think it is. And it's going to be a hell of a show. So I'm like squirreling away some money now, because I know I'm going to be spending it, and Leia will be spending some money there too, I'm sure.
Not a lot, especially coming back from England. So
but hey, you got to put some funds aside, man.
We'll see.
But yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Not with that London trip.
Yeah, bro.
But yeah, it's been really good. Getting a lot of good stuff in the last couple of weeks. I got a couple more cool things coming in the next week or so. Just expensive paper.
Definitely. If you haven't already,
what's up, man?
Brendan, aka Butt Naked Assassin, on Collector Without Fear on Instagram. So make sure that you actually do so, as always. Brendan, Vinny, what you got coming up next, brother?
Finish up this Lord of the Rings collection, then I'm working on some other commissions, getting a whole bunch of reading done, catching them up on some more shows, some more games. I'm playing the Island DLC of Ghost of Tsushima right now.
Yeah.
And
that's so good.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'm blown away.
Iki Island,
that's about it. Yeah, man, it's just good stuff all around. Just enjoying it, catching up on a bunch of art, and I got a lot of reading to do. So more on the way. Hopefully, I'll be able to show some of that next week, and then just looking forward to more Uncivilized Scoundrels. Talk some Star Wars. If not this week, the next, and back here on the Comic Book Talk with Friends with our new flashy logo and everything.
Exactly. Had to do something new, bring everybody in here, man. Definitely. Put the fellows up on the banner, That's how it is, man. It's good to have. So thank you for being here as always. So if you haven't already had a chance, get over to Vincent Dunn Art. The link to his stores on his page as well on Instagram. So make sure you do so. Jedi Pimp Smack, bro. What you got going on, man?
Waiting for them to release my Falcon. I'm waiting for my NR's Joker.
Yeah,
and I'm waiting for my damn. I bought another Trooper speeder bike combo, the one from Jedi this time. I got the Blurg coming, Blurg and Mando coming, and that's it right now, man. Just waiting for my stuff to come in.
I just sold off my quarter scale Mando. Just sold it.
What? Why? You love that thing. Why?
Bro, because the thing is, had to, bro. Because number one, I'm just making space.
Oh, extra cash for London.
Number two, but not even just that, bro. But I got a decent deal for it. So I was just like, why not take advantage of it? I'm quarter scale man, no more. Literally.
That's a dope piece though, bro. That was a hard one to give up. God,
it's a dope piece. It's a dope piece. It's a dope piece, but bro, like what I got coming in next, I need space for. You know what I mean? Especially that, bro. Like something had to give, and that quarter scale Ahsoka statue that I'm getting, I can't, bro. I need that space. I couldn't pass on that. I couldn't pass
the premium format.
Yeah, Ahsoka joint. Fuck, that shit is incredible, bro.
Bro, I'm gonna order that Superman, bro. I've been on the fence about it. I'm gonna go ahead and get it.
Yeah.
Did you
that'll be my first quarter scale.
Did you see the picture of the quarter scale, the premium format Iron Spider?
No.
That Sideshow's doing?
No.
Oh.
I'm not. Is it from the movie?
No, it's the comic. It's not the MCU. It's the comic Iron Spider in quarter scale.
Okay.
Oh, look, wow. I'll give Sideshow shit when I think they screwed the pooch. I think that the Boba Fett that they made, the quarter scale Boba Fett premium format statue is doo-doo stew. Yeah. The weathering on that armor looks like they just took a Sharpie and just went over it like with silver. It looks absolutely horrible, especially when you put it next to the quarter scale Hot Toy, right? It's insane. But
how many head sculpts are coming with?
Just the
how many sculpts
the unmasked and then the helmet. One? Just the unmasked and then the helmet. For the
it has an unmasked. Oh shit.
Yeah. But
I'll
give him shit when I think they screw the pooch. I think that Boba is horrible. But that Rosario Dawson Ahsoka looks amazing.
Oh my God,
if they follow through with the final product that way, like they did with others like Ventress and Maul and stuff like that, then awesome. And
light up sabers.
Yeah,
bro, probably not the light up saber. It's not going to have the LED light up. It's just, but bro, I've seen it in person. We saw it at Celebration. Nah. It's just Rosaria. It's just basically the Rosario Dawson version, premium format, bro. When you look it up, and we saw it in person at Celebration, and I was glued to it for like an hour. That's how amazing it is. That piece is worth having, bro. It definitely is. Anyway, everybody out there, thank you so much for sticking with us like these few hours, man. We've been like 2 hours in. but great discussions all around. Next week we'll be back to discuss a bit more. And yeah, man, hope everybody has a nice week. Thank you for basically being here with us. Yeah, it's been an awesome 2 hours. Again, don't forget, get out to your local comic tomorrow, or no, Wednesday. It's comic book day, new comic book day. So make sure you actually go out and get your pieces if you haven't already. And yes, we will actually see you next week back here, same time, same channel, always. You already know what it is. Comic book talk with friends all day, every day. Let's go. We are out, and peace.